Okay.
응답하라
응답하라
Yeochin. Go to the into the
Back to
shit.
the gang to the Jew. Hey.
A little bit of a
Jane.
different setup today because we
Mhm.
have a studio guest with us.
We do.
And it's our really good friend. He is a social media personality, influencer, advocate. He's a speaker, a founder, voice for the AAPI community. It's our friend Samuel Hyun.
Yes. And as the
Welcome.
young girls would say, tall, Korean, and handsome.
Oh my god.
But
not
for us, he's Dongseng.
Oh, he's such
Yeah.
a Dongseng.
Little brother.
I was just giving him shit for running out of breath, getting on here on time. I was like, oh, it's a good thing you're good looking, good to look at. Otherwise, I would have slapped you, but that's okay. He's
But
my
Sam, you know,
Dongseng.
whenever you're in town, Ellen will text me and we will try to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, so when it doesn't, it's truly because it's just,
Yeah,
our mom
it's
life
'cause
schedules and
yeah,
stuff.
coordinating 3 people's schedule is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our little villagers that need all our
Yes,
attention. But then
exactly.
this man is flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
He'll be like, I'm flying through Seattle, like on my way. And right after this,
Yeah.
I know in the back of your mind, you're kind of stressing, like, I gotta get to Korea.
Yeah. So don't stress. Thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
You know, tell us, what are you up to right now?
It's kind of hard to even
Uh-huh.
start. I think my 9 to 5, director of government relations for the Asian American Foundation, but also building out our sports arm, and then help a lot with our entertainment, F&B, comms, programming stuff. So I'm here because we are doing a lot of really good work in Seattle, but then also going to Korea because I have a bunch of business meetings that are separate from my 9 to 5.
So your 9 to 5 is with the Asian American Foundation. Tell us a little bit about that organization.
So TAF started roughly 5 years ago in wake of the Stop Asian Hate movement, and our board members realized that there was a gap between funding streams for API nonprofits. So
And TAF stands for
the Asian American Foundation.
Lovely, yes.
And so there was a report that came out that said that 0.2% of all philanthropic dollars had gone to the API community, even though we're the fastest growing racial demographic, reaching 9 to potentially 10%.
But only 0.2%.
0.2, not even 1%,
Yeah.
0.2%.
Wow. And why do you think that is? What was the reason?
There's a lot of different reasons. I think part of it definitely has to do with the model minority myth and this notion that Asian Americans are successful,
that
right?
we don't need the help.
Yeah.
Right, because if you look at the median household income, Asian Americans are at the highest, but if you actually look at the mean and actually disaggregate that data, we have significant portions of our community that live under the poverty line. Even here in the CID, right, you go to Little Saigon, we were literally outside of one of the grocery stores, and it was surrounded by unhoused folks, know, and a lot of drug use, black market activity, and just like empty homes, empty businesses, and desolate parking lots, right? And
Seattle's really struggling right now. It's like a ghost town. We never recovered from COVID, and especially the Asian communities. I feel like truly. I mean, we hear from Osun next door, even our own sister friend, who's like always trying to get support from the city to get her business still to stay open. But since you were in Seattle, we would love to hear your work more specifically in this trip, what you saw and and also you were talking about exciting things that are gonna be happening in Seattle that you are trying to.
Can't talk about that quite yet.
Never mind, just kidding.
But I think, for us, it's really important to come into cities where we're needed as opposed to where we feel like we want to go. So like New York City, LA, right, have like robust, San Francisco, Chinatowns, Asian American community. There's a lot of infrastructure.
Yes.
Versus Seattle, it's not as much, but there are young leaders that are coming up that are dynamic, that need that extra boost. And so we felt like it was important for us to come here to Seattle specifically. But there's also a really great sense of like a desire to collaborate that you don't find everywhere, especially in our community where it's so diverse. And it's, we have a lot, like hundreds, if not thousands of years of animosity towards one another. But here specifically, it feels like everybody really wants to build together.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say the opposite.
No, they've been awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because we have a rich Asian American history here, and the museum, Winglook Museum. We have so much. What did you observe that was different in like our Chinatown or Little Saigon from, I mean, you've traveled everywhere. So compared to what you see in other states,
LA,
how does it
SF,
how
like
does it
other West Coast
compare or
cities.
stand out?
I think you have folks who in other cities who've been doing the work for so long, and so they've established themselves. So they have a specific way of doing things.
Uh-huh.
They don't necessarily need infrastructure.
Mm.
They just want more
Oh,
funding.
okay.
And so for us, we want to problem solve and not just be a funder.
Right. You
And
want to be involved.
we want to be involved, but the way we think about this is we go in, provide infrastructure, allow it to grow organically, and then we'll go to the next place.
Oh,
Mm.
But
wow.
it takes time to build trust. So when we go somewhere where the infrastructure isn't as robust, it actually makes it much more palatable for us to go and actually help, plant those seeds.
I see. Yeah, because you're not so set in your ways. You're open to collaboration and open to being inspired for the newer, look of things.
And it's just a culture. The culture here in Seattle is much more collaborative, and it feels as though like open-minded to new ideas. I mean, even thinking about from a policy standpoint, a lot of the most innovative public policy initiatives start in the city of Seattle. And so does it always work? No, but this, city council and local government like has a history of trying different things and throwing against the wall and seeing what could work, as opposed to other municipalities that are almost bureaucratically or for whatever reason like less inclined to try to do something innovative.
That's
I mean, that
beautiful
is
to
one
hear.
thing that I've noticed as well. Just being involved locally in my community with like different organizations and like the school, even the school board, right? I mean, we're experiencing in Seattle a lot of the kind of national problems. But thankfully, we're almost like a safe haven right now, where a lot of people, a lot of educators are looking to come here because they're like, we are feeling very threatened, and we want to work in a place that still values, equity and inclusion, and so with the problems that persist every day, I am very thankful to be here
for
in
sure.
Seattle.
I mean,
Yeah.
with all that's especially going on, like Seattle feels a safe place compared to where else we could be.
I love Seattle.
Yeah.
What are these groups or these organizers, what are they feeling right now here in Seattle with the new administration?
I think just a lot of uncertainty. And this
Yeah.
is not just, nonprofits and community orgs. Like I talk to, high level business
Government
leaders,
employees too, right?
government,
Yeah.
international, people from like abroad. And I think the overall sense is that we are a dying empire, that the actions of the past first 90, 100 days have accelerated by decades.
My God, that's bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I know that we have a little bit of limited time with you because you're a jet setter. So from hopefully
Overrated.
moving on from the bleak topic to perhaps your personal life, Sam. You are a single man, is that correct? At the moment?
Yes.
That was very cautiously stated.
I know he was like, do I make eye contact right now?
Yeah.
So okay, you're 33.
Yeah.
You know what? We're grown women with kids. We're like a decade ahead of you. We're all settled in that. But tell us, what is it like to be a 33-year-old man? And how tall are we?
Over 6 feet.
6 feet. 1, 2, 6 feet. He's definitely cleared 6 feet, ladies.
I'm not 5'11", I promise.
Yeah, we've it's important. Height is important for the ladies and for the men. They love to talk about their height. And you work for the community. You got like a great man portfolio for the single ladies out there. How are you still not off the market?
I knew that was the question.
I know that's what the women want to know.
I know, it's like they're always like, what are the red flags?
Yeah, that's where we're getting to. I love that he knows. I give him so much shit.
First of all, I'm definitely not a Hongdae boy.
Oh, okay, you got that right.
Despite
What
my
is a
outfit right
Hongdae
now.
boy?
Despite my outfit right
You
now.
haven't heard of the Hongdae
No.
boy?
The whole
Please
Hongdae boy
educate
thing
me.
is hilarious.
Yeah, there's a dude that does like role plays as a
Tu le
Hongdae
ballon?
boy. And there's also a white girl that does a foreigner girl in Korea. Somebody
Yeah.
was like, they should get together and make
Mm.
a skit. Anyways, but you're not a Hongdae boy. I can attest to that. I've known you for years now. He wants to find the love.
Like Hongdae boy is like a player.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like they look for like the
They're in
porno
Hongdae.
girl, right? And they're like, you know, like you perfect, I'm perfect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like
They're looking for their
this guy like Sean
uh-huh.
Solo specifically is doing
Yes.
stuff. It's so funny.
They're looking to ride the white horse in Hongdae.
I
Yeah.
see. I
Like,
see.
looking for
Yeah.
that.
No,
But
that's not Sam.
It's
That's
embarrassing.
not Sam.
It's actually embarrassing.
Okay.
Um,
See, we got a man saying that. That's
I-
I'm so proud.
I think honestly, my life right now is like extremely chaotic.
Mm.
I was just actually talking to someone about this. Because my life was going so fast, I think the way that I approached dating was also, you know, wanting someone to meet that same speed,
Mm.
but realizing like I'm not going 100 miles an hour, I'm going 250 miles an hour.
Mm.
And you need time to get to know somebody, and also, you know, realizing that everybody has like different traumas that they've carried, and so, you know, opening up to someone, it just takes time.
Mhm.
I'm someone that's extremely vulnerable, and I know who I'm so sure of who I am that like I am very quick to open up and be vulnerable and just give myself to someone. And I am personally okay with the other person taking time. It didn't dawn on me until recently that me opening up so quickly can actually scare the shit out of the other person.
Mm.
Wow, that's true. It can be too fast
Yeah.
for or
And it's not that I'm necessarily doing anything wrong.
right.
It's just that that person has gone through things that make them the way that they are, and I can't impose my timeline onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective because I feel that I often hear that from women. I don't typically hear that
Right.
from men.
Mm-hmm.
But to what you're saying, they probably date a lot of men that don't open up, and they're like, "What is this? This is a red flag. Why are you opening up so
I've
much?"
actually gotten that, which
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
why you're too self-aware, you're too
Mm.
close to your family, you're too
Oh.
respectful, you're
Oh.
too nice,
yeah,
you're
this
too
can't
thoughtful.
be real.
Yeah.
It's your gender.
Yeah.
and you're Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not-
wow.
it's
Talk
very-
about the
yeah.
misogyny there. That's intense. People
But I'm not. It's not to say that I don't make mistakes, right? Like, you know, that I'm not saying that I'm perfect by
all
any
the
stretch
exes
the
of Sam's are gonna write to us like, listen,
No, maybe.
let me tell you something about
Yeah.
that man.
Sorry, guys.
he was like, oh my gosh,
I
all the
know.
names are going through
I
his head
know.
right now. Like,
Hot seat. I just told him to relax.
yeah,
you
and
know?
then I keep
Yeah.
tightening him up.
Nah, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel like you're 33? I know you've dated quite a bit. Do you feel like you have
Not the
had
producer
one?
laughing back there.
Yeah, I know.
There are
Happens all the time.
He can relate. He's relating to you hard back
Yeah.
there as a man,
Mm.
a young man. Do you have one that felt like got away?
Oh.
That's deep, huh?
Mm.
I have one that she was unbelievable. Still is.
My heart.
Swoon.
I you know, I do feel like I appreciate her at the time, but I think at the time of my life I had realized that there were just differences that were hard to reconcile.
Mm.
And it's like not a negative thing towards it. We just were different people.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But I also realized like that she loved me
Mm.
so much and was so good to me and is like such an amazing human being that there's definitely the times when I regret.
Oh wow.
But I also I think about where she would have had to change so much for me.
yeah.
Mm.
And the willingness of wanting to change for each other was skewed.
Mm.
This is deep,
Mhm.
Sam. You really thought about this. I love that.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened? that relationship?
I would say 30, 31.
Not
my
too
God,
long
not too
ago.
long
Yeah, the
ago.
Yeah.
last time you were here. I mean,
Wow, this is scenario. Like
Yeah.
it's still like kind of
tender.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm so moved. I thought for a second we were watching a Korean drama.
Well, it's very mature.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You and so right now, your state of mind in dating, what
Mhm.
is it? Like, are you looking? Are you putting yourself out there? Are you putting yourself on hold because your life is too crazy?
I am, but in a different way. Like I'm still out there, like available and like hoping to find someone. But I think I'm much more at a state of peace. Of hey, it will happen when it happens.
Wow.
Mhm.
Peace. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I was just talking about this with a girlfriend, and she was telling me, and it kind of made me think about, are you the type of person where there has to be like physical attraction
Yeah.
first?
That's honest.
No.
That's
But
yeah.
okay, what if, okay, maybe yes, but like let's say you would think, okay, this person's cute, but you didn't think of them in that way. And then you got to know them better, and have you been more attracted once
Oh,
you find
certainly.
Okay. I
100%.
had a girlfriend
Yeah.
tell me that like if there's not an immediate physical attraction from like the get-go, no.
She's
Is
probably
she
still
single?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No,
so you are open to it. Doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, she's hot.
Mhm.
Like it can grow.
Yeah.
It can be a
from-
realization.
No,
Yeah.
someone's
attraction
personality
takes time. Yeah.
will 100%
Yeah.
make you much more attractive.
Okay,
Mhm,
that's so
mhm.
good to hear. Because when I
Or turn you off.
Yeah. Oh, right. Have you ever had that? But have you ever met the hottest chick ever?
Of course.
And
Of course.
These are
I mean,
dumb questions.
Literally within like 2 sentences, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And
I
she's
get
like, what
that.
do you mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
And you
you don't
probably
like, you're not gonna receive this
moving
feedback.
250 miles. You
don't have
you
the
don't have the
time.
time. You're like,
You're
okay,
like,
I'm good.
next.
I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also part of the problem is like because I
know.
know like at this point now I know
Yeah.
what the non-negotiables are, so it's like
Mhm.
gone.
What
And
are
then,
your non-negotiables?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
self-centeredness.
Oh, but like, what
Ooh.
does that
'Cause there's a
look
difference
like?
between
Yeah.
knowing your self-worth
Uh-huh.
and thinking the world revolves around you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for example, I'm like I'm more than happy to do cooking, cleaning, laundry. Like I think any man worth his salt should know how to do those things. Those are like basic survival skills.
Wow, this
Mhm.
is a man that has truly thought in and out about like you're looking the way you talk. You're looking for marriage material at this stage. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's thoroughly thought about this. Okay.
So
Yeah.
like if you're still like you want to party, all good. I still like to party. But if that is like your main prerogative of like I'm getting through Monday through Friday so I can get blasted on the weekend, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even an age thing, right? Like there'll be women that I met in New York City that are like 38 years old and that's still where their mind is, or like someone else that I'll meet that's 25 and the way that she thinks about life is really mature, thoughtful. And so for me it's like how do you treat other people around you?
Mm-hmm.
Because that tells me what kind of partner and future mother you're going to be.
What is now that leads me to what was the biggest turnoff you've experienced? Like that was appalling. Have you ever witnessed something so appalling you were like, wow, I cannot?
Yeah, someone who said that they were not only pro-life, but blamed rape on women.
A woman.
Yeah. So I immediately asked for the check.
How many dates did it take to get there?
Within the first 35 minutes.
Okay.
Oh my God. Let it
Yeah.
out. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, is that because you have those like do you also go deep
No,
when you
she brought it up randomly.
Okay.
She's
Was
like,
it Pearl
gosh.
from TikTok?
no, she's like you work in government, and then just like immediately goes into like I'm the most conservative girl you're ever gonna meet. And I was
Okay.
like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
conservative friends, like
Right.
it's-
The spectrum, like where do you? Yeah.
But then that was my like the dehumanization, that kind of that line. I was like, all right, this is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I want to talk about that, Sam. I mean, are we okay shifting from the
Yes,
Sam's love
yes.
life? When you said, you have conservative friends, I think that's something that's so hard for people
Mhm.
today is to, I mean, there's a real fear there, right? Is just kind of fraternizing with people who have different political views, and it's just gotten scarier and scarier. So how do you navigate that?
You can't just disappear someone like you can block someone on the internet.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's
one.
true.
Oh, yeah. I want to go boop.
You
Mhm.
can't, right? And those people exist. And if I've learned anything from traveling the country and talking to as many different people as I possibly can, everybody has a reason for why they believe what they believe, whether you agree with it or not, right? And whether it's how they present in the world, things that they've experienced because of how they present in the world, and whether they've had the knowledge and language and like kind of like communities to be able to think through that. Like, but right now I feel like more people are interested in being right than doing the right thing, right? They want to like win the argument. They want to have like that 30-second TikTok that goes viral and dunk on someone. So a lot of actually the social media folks that I see online that are supposedly advocating actually are causing way more harm than they realize. Do I think those like TikTok kids that are like 18-year-old white kids, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like honestly, brilliant. I'm really impressed with the amount of knowledge
Right.
that they're able to retain, the ability for them to on the spot be able to respond and have
Yes.
recall.
Yes.
All that is really impressive. But the fact that no one has pulled them aside and had an honest conversation about, do you actually think you're doing something good or bad? Right? Are you being productive or harmful?
Yeah.
No
Are you
one.
cultivating the culture, or are you
You're just causing more division.
Yeah.
Right? And right now we're at a state where the United States is in a much more vulnerable state than we have been since the inception of this country. It's over 100 years ago. The way that the rest of the world has caught up, if not about to surpass or is surpassing.
Yeah.
And I think at this point we really have to be able to humanize with one another, and there will be conservative friends you actually agree with, and you're never going to change someone's mind if all you're doing is talking at them. They need to feel like they've been heard and respected first.
I think that's something that I've noticed early on, when we connected on social media, that you do really well in your content and in your videos is, you have a way of, just making the person feel seen, like you said, and then kind of open up that curiosity and open up that space, which I think is really important and maybe the key. Of course, I think right now, like myself included, it's like I would just rather not.
Right.
Like my bandwidth for that was completely shot. After the election.
The times are so, like you said, it's almost kind of hearing you actually put it into words, and you're so in government. Like I'm like, maybe it's not as bad as I think. And then you're sitting here going, it's bad. It's so bleak. We're in a very compromised position that we've never been in. The US is really vulnerable right now with a man that acts like a dictator. How would you comfort someone, like the everyday person? Like, we constantly talk about it and we're like, it's so bad. Every morning when me and Jane get together, we're like, it's so bad.
Well, it's honestly not even comfort. It's you can shove your head into your pillow and cover your ears and go, I don't see any, blah, 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 blah. Or you can deal with reality.
Yeah.
And that is what a lot of people are doing. I have friends who'll be like, I don't watch the news anymore.
Right.
I'm like,
but
wow.
to me, that's shameful. Like, if you're a parent, would you do that with your family? No. As someone that like, and this is like, I think this take is like where some be like, oh, that's like conservative, like taking ownership of your goddamn life, like, and understanding how you impact those around you, like that is something we all need to do. But we become so individualistic and unable to see the macro picture of like how we're impacting everybody else around us by the way we behave and treat one another is why we're at this place in the first place. And so for me right now, it's I can look at the problem and say that we're on a sinking ship, or I can do whatever I can, even if it's just to take a bucket and try to empty out a little bit of that water and do something. And being stagnant and saying that I'm not going to do anything, you're actually contributing to the problem. And that's my biggest issue with leaders right now, is instead of actually rolling up the sleeves and doing something, they're pointing fingers at each other and saying it's not my fault, it's their fault. That to me is shameful. And what I want to see is that everyone in this country right now has to realize, whether you like it or not, you got to step up.
Yeah.
And we all got to do our part. And we all got to show up for each other. And we all have to understand that we are one body, one country, whether you agree or like or want to be in this place or not.
I know so many people are like, let me get out of here. That's
Then like if you
Then
then
leave.
go, right?
Yeah.
Like, because my mom didn't come here and sacrifice by working 3-4 jobs, getting shit on by not just, other Americans and also within the Korean American community, to raise her children, for me to sit here and not do everything I can to make life better for other people.
And shout out to your mom.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I find most attractive about you as a person, I'm not talking romantically. He's my Dongseng. He's like a brother to me. So girls, I know ladies are like, what did she say? She's a married
Relax.
woman. He's my Dongseng. But as a human being, one of the most attractive qualities about you is your mom. You were raised by a single mom who is the backbone of who you are. And that spills out of you every time we talk. And that's why I love you, kid, because he has such a deep love and respect for the woman that raised him. And that is such an attractive quality. When you have that love and respect for the person that gave you life, it just makes you emit incredible energy, and that's to the world, and give back in a way that you've received. And I think that's one of the best qualities that you carry, in my opinion.
She earned it though, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
you're
in-
like, I
right.
know you're giving me the credit, but
Right.
really the credit
No,
is hers,
she's an
right? So,
extension.
like,
You are an extension of
Yes.
her.
but like,
Yes.
I'd be such a kumbangjingnam, right? If like I didn't, right?
Exactly.
Right,
That's why
right.
I said you're not a
There's-
konbangjingnam. That's what I'm
yeah,
telling
yeah,
you. Like, I love
mhm.
that because we
Something-
encounter so many konbangjingnam.
Exactly.
Like, especially in, I mean, I hate to say this, but Korean men,
Mm.
that's known for, like, full of themselves, right? But I mean, growing up that way.
How did she raise you?
Yeah,
what
how did she
you
do
hear?
it? It
What
takes
was-
a village.
Yeah, what were the messages that you were receiving as a kid?
So when she was being bullied at church by like the other like more
Oh.
well-to-do Korean women,
Oh
Of
my god.
course.
Yeah, Korean church.
I
here
would
we
get
go.
so upset, and she'd say, "I'm like, 엄마, like 화 안 내요? Like,
Mm.
Yeah, aren't
know,
you
그냥-
pissed? 화 안 나요?
yeah,
Yeah.
like 난 지금 미치겠는데 근데 엄마가 그냥
음.
가만히 있으니까 내가 어떻게 해야 될지 몰라서."
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy.
Right?
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But
And so she was like, imagine how hurt they are, and like how much trauma that they're carrying for them to take it out on me, who did nothing wrong to them.
Wow.
And she's like, I feel bad for them.
Wow, your mom is. Oh my god,
yeah.
it's really hard for me to see that when someone pisses me
Let
off.
me think about
But
that.
also,
'cause-
like, I was, my dad left when I was, 13, 14.
Mm.
And
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I knew your dad left, but it was 13.
yeah, so I had
Yeah,
him
so you
like
did
at
have
all
him.
my baseball games. He was my biggest cheerleader. He was like super, super, the thing that I will give credit to my dad, he loves his children.
Mm.
He loves his children.
Mm.
He doesn't know how to love us, but he does love us, right?
Yeah.
Like those are two
You
different
I mean,
things.
felt
that's very-
loved.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did.
I'm
I
surprised
thought that your dad just wasn't around, but I didn't realize he had left you when you were
Mm.
13.
Was he-
That's such an
yeah.
impressionable
right.
age.
So then now the father figure that I had in my life, the male figure is gone.
Mm.
So what I, throughout the rest of my life, like I had coaches, teachers, friends' dads that would check in on me and, take me to my games and like buy me food, just have like conversations about me about,
Mhm.
being a man. And So I had really good examples
Mm.
of that. Men who to this day, I really admire about the way that they raise their children, how they carried themselves, treated their partners.
Wow.
I didn't realize until much later that the reason why they did that was because my mom had asked them to.
Oh.
So the amount of strength that it takes for someone to go and say, I cannot raise my children by myself.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God. I did not know that you were going to spill that.
I know. That's incredible.
I mean, we literally said, what was the village?
Yeah.
And your
But you
mom
know,
went
it
around
all
asking to create a village for you.
Yes. And it all tracks because of who you are today, Sam. So we only have a few more minutes left with you. But I want to look at the sneakers. Are you wearing your sneakers?
Oh, yeah.
Today?
Always.
Yeah. Tell us about your sneaker brand, 1587.
That was featured in Shark Tank.
On Shark Tank.
You got to sit with the sharks or present to the sharks?
We did. So 1587, we're the first Asian American sneaker brand. We launched 3 years ago, and basically 1587 is a year the first Asian is documented to have stepped foot in North America. The ethos, and what we stand for is that we want Asian Americans to be unapologetically themselves. So every step that you take, you are representing yourself fully, and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. And that's why we started the brand, and it's been incredible. And in Seattle, I had my friend Laura, who runs The Intentionalist.
Yes.
She came up to me at an event, and she did exactly what we wanted people to do with the shoe. It is a blank white shoe. It's meant to be a canvas. And she is a queer, proud queer Korean American woman.
We met when we were out together. Yeah.
And she had a black-owned artist or store paint the back of the shoe and the rainbow, the pride colors.
Yeah. I saw that. It was beautiful.
That's exactly what we want people to do. We want you to put your identity, your full self.
Put your own mark on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. Love
beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you always been like a fashion guy?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Always. I've always been creative.
Always put
Is that also from your mom?
Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
Both my parents, actually.
Yeah.
So you said, how many times has your dad been married, if you don't mind me asking?
Twice. He's a little iffy on explaining what he's in right now.
How many? So you have step siblings, right?
Half sibling.
Half siblings.
Yeah.
How many? 2 different half siblings?
One on my mom. My older sister Mira.
Uh-huh.
And then my Dongseng is Grace. So with my mom. I asked him, last time I spoke to him, or I saw him in Korea, I was like, do you have other children? And before you answer, if they are biological or not. If they're not biological, then I'm all set. God bless them. I hope they live a happy life, but I don't need to have a relationship with
You
them.
already have plenty. Yeah,
Exactly.
siblings, yeah.
But I just need to know, for my family's sake.
Yeah.
And I knew that my sisters are busy raising their own families, so that kind of responsibility to make sure that I'm dealing with all the things with him, I take care of it.
And how's your relationship with your dad? I mean, how did you heal that?
I learned forgiveness, what that meant by forgiving my dad.
When did you think, what age do you think you forgave
26, 27.
What happened in that year that made you think, I need to forgive this man for myself?
I was tired of carrying around the baggage of trauma because I realized that forgiveness is not to absolve the other person of what they did wrong and the harm that they caused on you. It's to give yourself permission to let go of that trauma and to go heal.
Was there something specific that happened that made you realize, this is the time I need to let it go?
I think my frontal lobes were just developing.
They do say 25 is the age where
well,
you're
I'm just
fully
taken by the
developed.
fact that, he left you when you were 13, 14, and it took that many years, to reach that, or to decide, okay, I'm going to forgive and move forward. Yeah, that's really commendable. No, I don't think anybody would blame you if you hadn't done that or if you're not there yet, But I think
then only I'm losing, right? He's not deal, like he has to carry his own baggage,
Right.
but he's not carrying my baggage.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you could have forgiven him and also, walked away. But
Mhm.
you wanted to still, you know what? I think because I'm the other way. I had to forgive and I had to walk away.
Mhm.
But the difference is, I think, what I'm realizing hearing your story is that you felt the love,
Mhm.
and I don't know that there was love there for me. But being able to recognize that, someone could do you wrong, but they still love you, and being able to see that, you know, even with all the pain, that's very commendable
Mhm.
for you. And that's you. That's you. You chose that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you who you are today.
Mhm.
And why I forgive you for being late and having to fly off because he was like, well, how many minutes to the airport? I was like, you'll be fine. It's like only 15, 20 minutes. He goes,
Yeah.
but I'm going international. Of course you are, bitch.
We don't want to be the reason why you missed your flight to Korea.
Yeah.
You are incredible. Thank you so, so much for being with us. And we'll be seeing you on socials, and be sure to hit us up whenever you're in Seattle.
Tell the people how the best time you had Seattle was at my house.
It
doing
was.
barbecue.
No, it was.
That has a special place in your heart.
Well, also that's why I'm going through all this craziness to be here, is because I know the kind of people that you both are, and like the kind of like nuna들, the mothers, the partners that you are. So,
Can I just say? And Jane brought us iced coffees
I
and
know.
donuts. What is this?
I get loved on a
This
lot.
is the Nuna treatment.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is why I want a Nuna.
Yeah.
I don't want these bitch ass Dongsengs. Just kidding. I love you.
Someone like Sam. Yes, I want a Dongseng like Sam.
Well, let's
Yes.
get you safely on your
Yes.
flight. We don't want you to miss that. So
Mhm.
we love having you here. Anytime you're in Seattle, hit us up.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.